So good day, Doc. Good day, classmates. I am Delio Monteclaro Pahayahay, and my task today is to discuss to you the chapter 13, which is entitled The Imagery. So we have here the following learning objectives. First, we have to define imagery. Second one is to discuss the effectiveness of imagery in enhancing sport performance. Discuss where, when, why, and what of imagery used by athletes. Discuss the factors that's influencing imagery effectiveness. Describe how imagery works. Discuss the uses of imagery. Explain how to develop a program of imagery training. And lastly, we're going to explain when to use imagery. So let's start. So you probably heard several terms that refer to an athlete's mental preparation for competition, including visualization, mental rehearsal, symbolic rehearsal, covert practice, imagery, and mental practice. So when we say visualization, it is where our ability to visualize things or to picture out things. And when we say mental rehearsal, it is where an athletes, or according to the book, it is where an athletes or a performers see themselves or picturing themselves executing a skills. And then when we say symbolic rehearsal, it is where we are thinking a pattern of in the interval between learning and relearning. And when we say covert practice, it is where we retrieve information or how we bring the information into our mind. And when we say imagery, it is still visualization. It is our ability to visualize things. And lastly, the mental practice, wherein according to the book, it is where a cognitive practice of physical skill without movement. So first, let's define imagery. So according to the book, it is actually a form of stimulation. It is similar to a real sensory experience, just for example, seeing, feeling, or hearing. Based on my experience, I am a badminton player, so during our practice, we learned a lot through physical training. And after our practice, when I go to my boarding house, and then I just lie down or sitting down, I think that I am holding a racket and I am on a badminton court, and then I am thinking what moves or what possible moves I can do, and how to smash a racket and to beat my opponent just sitting and think. I think that's what we call imagery. And through imagery, we can create positive experiences or picture new events to prepare yourselves mentally for performance. So with imagery, we can prepare ourselves our mentally, in order for us to put it into a real gameplay. Yeah, that's it. So the next one here is imagery can or should involve as many senses as possible. Even when imagery is referred to as visualization, the kinesthetic, auditory, tactile, and olfactory senses also played a vital role. The next is the 5 key characteristics of the imagery process according to Cumming and Williams 2012. So the first one is the modality, which is the scenes used in imagery involves the auditory, the visual, the tactile, the olfactory, and the kinesthetic. So in short, it involves our different senses in order for us to visualize a certain things. The second one is the perspective, the visual perspective taken. So we have here the first person, or it called internal, and the third person is what we call external. And also we have here angle, the viewing angle when imaging from an external perspectives. So it involves the position naman siya, so it's above or under, behind or front or side. And the next one is the agency. When you say agency, it is the author or agent of the behavior being imagined, oneself or another person. So it talks about on how we imagine things, or the one who is doing imagery. Okay, and we have the deliberation, the degree to which imagery is deliberate or spontaneous. or it is where we are making our decisions, or we are deciding carefully. Next, we have the evidence of imagery's effectiveness. So, sports and exercise, sports psychologists have looked at three kinds of evidence. First, we have the anecdotal reports, the case studies, and the scientific experiments. So, let's have first the anecdotal reports. Anecdotal reports, or people reports of isolated occurrences, are numerous. The remarks by Jack Nicklaus, Michael Phelps, and Chris Evert are examples. There is a study conducted at the United States Olympic Training Center by Murphy, Jody, and Dortstreet 1990, indicated that 100% of sport psychology consultants and 90% of Olympic athletes use some form of imagery, and that 97% of these athletes believes that imagery helped their performance. In addition, 24% of coaches of Olympic athletes use imagery during their training sessions, and 20% use it at every practice session. So, it is also reported that 99% of Canadian Olympians use imagery. This percentage have remained fairly consistent over the years. So, in anecdotal records or anecdotal reports, it shows that imagery has the positive effects on athletes' performance. The next one is the case study. Although anecdotal reports might be the most interesting evidence supporting the effectiveness of imagery, they are also considered as the least scientific, where a more scientific approach is the case study, in which the researchers closely observes, monitors, and records individuals' behavior over a period of time. So, unlike sa anecdotal records that it's just a people's reports, but the case study is wherein the researcher is closely, they observe and they monitors consistently and record the individual's behavior in a period of time. So, we have also here the multiple baseline case studies, wherein it tells that studies of just a few people over a long period of time with multiple assessments documenting changes in behavior and performances. So the multiple baseline it is a study of just a few people over a long period of time with multiple assessments. And we have also here the psychological intervention packages. It is an approaches that use a variety of psychological interventions, such as self-talk, relaxation, concentration training, along with imagery. We have also here the evidence from scientific experiments in support of imagery, as impressive clearly demonstrates the value of imagery in learning and performing motor skills. So those mention the evidence of imagery effectiveness is they show that imagery has the positive effects on the athlete's performance in the competition or in a certain sports or game. Let's have the imagery sport. Where, when, why, and what. So, where do athletes image? The majority of imagery used, of course, in practice and competition. Athletes consistently use imagery more frequently in competition than in training. That's according to Monroe, Salmon Hall, and Haslam 1994. So, athletes appear to use imagery more performance enhancement. So next one, when do athletes image? So research have revealed that athletes use imagery before, during, and after practice, outside of practice, wherein they were imaged in home, in school, and even in work. And also, researchers revealed that athletes image in before, during, or after the competition. So, why do athletes image? When attempting to determine why performers in exercise use imagery, we should differentiate content from function. So when we say content, relates to what a person images. Example, muscles feeling loose after a hard workout. Whereas function refers to why the person images. So, next one is, what do athletes image? So various researchers have investigated exactly what and how individuals image. The findings relate to our aspects of imaging, images of the surroundings in which the athlete competes, the positive or negative characters of image, the types of imagery, as we all know, as we learned a while ago, the visual, the kinesthetic, the auditory, and the olfactory, and the perspective, which is the internal versus the external. And then the athlete takes and creating imagery. The next one is the nature of imagery. Most studies classify imagery as positive or negative. The first one is the positive images. These images occur are reported during the practice and pre-competition. So these images, for example, one athlete reported imaging this way. During practice, I am thinking about nice places and nice things. It gets your mind off it. Then it's been a half hour into practice. So the positive images, classmates, it occurs during the pre-competition. I mean, these images is the good images or the nice images. The next one is the negative images, were most often reported during competitions. Example, I sometimes imagine hitting a bad shot in golf, and guess what, I usually do hit a bad shot. So that's a negative images where you create a negative situation. So that's the nature of the imagery. The next one is the imagery perspective. So in using internal imagery, you image the execution of a skill from your own vantage point, as if you had a camera on your head. You see only what you would see if you actually executed a particular skill. So in the internal imagery, we are the one looking ourselves. I mean, in internal imagery, you are the one executing the skill as well as you are observing your skill execution. And then the next one is the external imagery. It is where you view yourself from the perspective of an outside observer. It is as if you are the watching yourself in a movie. Just like, for example, if you are playing a badminton. So if you are doing imagery, it can call internal imagery if you are the one who are executing the skills as well as you are observing your execution. And it can call external imagery if you are just like, for example, you are the crowd, but you are the crowd in a certain competition, like in badminton competition, and then you are the athletes. So in the external imagery, you put yourselves into the crowd wherein it is watching you. The next one is the factors affecting the effectiveness of imagery. We have here the nature of the task first. So years of research have indicated that tasks involving mostly cognitive components such as decision making and perception show the greatest positive benefits from imagery rehearsal. So it is in the nature of the task also when you are imagining something, what task you are visualizing, what possible skills you can execute. And then the next one is the skill level of the performer. So it measure naman niya in the case of the novice and experienced athletes, but it is considered that the effects are somewhat stronger for experienced players. So as we all know that experience is the best teacher, and it says in the skill level of the performer that the more experience you have, the stronger the effects of the imagery. The next one is the imaging ability. So it is where the ability of a person to visualize something. So researchers indicated that imagery is more effective when individuals have higher ability to imagine. So it tells here that it is on the person's ability to visualize something, how strong the person, how vivid the person to visualize a certain things. Just like, for example, in the game badminton, you are visualizing how to smash a shuttlecock. So it is your ability on how to hold a racket, or yeah, and how much effort you need to apply in order to smash the racket, the shuttlecock rather. The next one is the using imagery along with physical practice. So in this case, imagery needs to be added to one's normal physical practice. However, imagery does not take the place of physical practice, wherein it is a combination of physical and mental practice. And in the book says that physical practice alone is not effective without a mental component takes times from physical practice. The next one is the personality characteristics. It has been considered fundamental to psychological preparation. Therefore, personality may influence the effectiveness of psychological skills used by athletes. So, the book says that the characteristics of a person's has the influence in doing imagery. Next is how imagery works. As we all know, we have the ability to visualize things. We can generate information from memory that is essentially the same as in the actual experience. Consequently, imaging events can have an effect on our nervous system similar to that of the real or actual experience. Where there are 5 theories that has an explanations address how imagery works. This includes the psychoneuromuscular theory, the symbolic learning theory, the bioinformational theory, the triple code theory, and last, the psychological explanations. Well, all these 5 explanations have some support from research findings, and they basically propose that psychological processes account for effectiveness of imagery. First, we have the psychoneuromuscular theory. It is originated with Carpentry, who proposed the idiomotor principle of imagery. According to this principle, imagery facilitates the learning of motor skills because of the nature of the neuromuscular activity patterns activated during imaging. The next one is the symbolic learning theory Sackett. Argued that imagery can help individuals understand their movements. The symbolic learning theory suggests that imagery may function as a coding system to help people understand and acquire movement patterns. As I've said a while ago, that symbolic imagery or symbolic rehearsal, we are learning patterns where we are coding. Yeah, we're coding so that we could remember it when we are in a real situation. And the third theory is the bioinformational theory. Probably the best developed theoretical explanation for these effects of imagery. The bioinformational theory, assumption that an image is functionally organized set of propositions stored by the brain. The model holds that a description of image consists of 2 main types of statements: the response propositions and the stimulus propositions. The stimulus propositions are statements that describe specific stimulus features of the scenario to be imagined. For example, a weightlifter at a major competition might imagine the crowd, the bar he is going to lift, and the people sitting or standing on the sidelines. And the response propositions, on the other hand, are statements that describes the imager's response to the particular scenario. They are designed to produce psychological activities. For example, having a weightlifter feel the weight in his hands as he gets ready, his left, as well as feel a pounding heart and a little tension in his muscle is a response proposition. So that's what we call the bioinformational theory. The next one is the triple code model, wherein this model goes a step further in stating that the meaning the image has, the individual must also be incorporated into imagery models. So it has here the ISM. The first part is the image itself. According to Ashen, the image represents the outside world and the objects with degree of sensory realism. The next one is the S, or the somatic response, wherein it is the act of imagination results in psychological changes in the body. This contention is similar to Lang's bioinformational theory. And the last one is the meaning. The meaning of the image. According to Ashen, every image imparts a definite significance or a meaning. Yeah. How could we how could we do visualization if we really don't know what to visualize? So the same set of imagery instructions will never produce the same imagery experience for any two people. The next one is the psychological explanations. Although non-full-blown theories, a number of psychological explanations have been put forth to explain the effects of imagery. For example, one notion is based on attentional arousal set theory and argues that imagery function as a preparatory set that assists in achieving an optimal arousal level. So a second area explaining imagery effectiveness from a psychological perspective argues that imagery helps build psychological skills that are critical to performance enhancement, such as increased confidence and concentration and increased anxiety. Let's continue. Next is the uses of imagery. Imagery has many uses, including enhancing motivation, reducing anxiety, building confidence, enhancing concentration, recovering from injury, solving problems, and practicing specific skills and strategies. So the first one here is improve concentration. So by visualizing what you want to do and how you want to react in a certain situation, you can prevent your mind from wandering. So by the use of imagery, we can visualize things that are possible, that we can use it during our during in a competition, a certain competition. You can imagine yourself in a situation in which you often lost wandering. The next one is the enhanced motivation, where imagery can help build motivation to participate, especially in exercise classes. For example, it has been found that regular participants in an aerobic dance class frequently use imagery to see themselves becoming healthier, improving physical appearance. So it enhances our motivation. Next is build confidence. So by imagery, we can build our confidence. Just like if you have troubled with serving in a recent volleyball matches, for example, you might imagine hitting hard, accurate serves to build up your self-confidence. Next one is control emotion responses. Imagery can be used both to create higher levels of arousal if an athlete feels lethargic, and to reduce anxiety if an athlete gets too uptight. Along these lines, Pat Summitt, the retired highly successful women's basketball coach at the University of, used imagery for relaxation before important games when players tend to get too pumped and play out of control. So by the use of imagery also, we can control our emotions, wherein we can relax our mind and then visualize the things that are that may occur in a competition. So the next one is the the acquire, practice, and correct sports skills. So if we're doing visualize, we tend to visualize the correct, the accurate one, the good picture, the good happenings or the good situations that what may occur in a certain competition. And also the prepare for competition. Imagery is used most often right before competition to get athletes ready to perform their best. So if you have mental practice, I can say that the book says that if you have mental practice, you are prepared on things that will occur in real situations that you may face. Next, we have solve problems. people can use imagery to discover or solve problems in performance. Just like, for example, if you're a badminton player, then during the competition, you did not do your best. I mean, just like, for example, you did not hit the shuttlecock. So after then you lose. So after the competition, you can think or you can visualize that what possible actions or moves you can do next time so that you could be able to hit successfully the shuttlecock and then beat your opponent. And next, we have the keys to effective imagery. The first one is the vividness. As we all know, vividness, the clarity of things. So good imagers use all their senses to make their images as vivid and detailed as possible. So if you are an imager, so please make sure that that the things you are visualizing is vivid or clear or detailed so that you could remember it during the real situations or the real competitions. It is important to create as closely as possible the actual experience in your mind. Yes, pay particular attention to environment detail, such as the layout of the facilities, type of surface, and the closeness of spectators. Yes, you must be, if you are visualizing, or if we are visualizing things, we should be aware of the facilities, the surface, the crowds, and the spectators, so that we are prepared. So we are prepared to perform a certain skills or to showcase our learnings. Next, we have the controllability. Controllability from the words control, how you manipulate things, how you control your emotions. So another key to successful imagery is to as what I have said, manipulate your images so they do what you want them to. Many athletes have difficulty controlling their images and often find themselves repeating their mistakes as they visualize. Yeah, so this is the most occurring problems. If you are out of control of your visualization, you can visualize, you can overreact, you cannot achieve success if you are out of control. Next one is how to develop a program of imagery training. So motivation and realistic expectations are critical first step in setting up a program of imagery training. In addition, evaluation using an instrument such as the Sport Imagery Questionnaire should occur before the training program begins. The basic training in imagery includes exercises in vividness and controllability. Yes, to develop a program imagery training, you need first to master a vividness visualization of a certain things or skills. Also a control of a pictures that you are visualizing. Because with the mastery of these two, you can really achieve what you are going to, what you want to, what you are expecting in the competition. They should also focus on developing positive images. Yeah, as we tackle the positive and the negative images. So to develop program imagery training, we should image positive so that we could have a positive environment during the real situation or the game or the performance. And lastly, we have here to explain the use of imagery. So imagery can be used before and after practicing and competition, during the off-season, during breaks in action, and during personal time. Imagery can also benefit the injury rehabilitation process. Yes. Wait lang. So, and before and after practice, each one way to schedule imagery systematically is to include it before and after and practice session. Limit these sessions to about 10 minutes. Most athletes have trouble concentrating on imagery any longer than this. To focus concentration and get ready before practice, athletes should visualize the skills routines in place they expect to perform. So, most of the time, imagery occur before to prepare your mental awareness during the real performance or game, and also after so that you could be able to change what mistakes you've done in the real situations. You could be able to visualize things that is can correct the mistakes you've done. Next, in before and after competition. Also during the off season. In many cases, there is no true off-season because athletes do cardiovascular conditioning. Yes, as we all know that athletes have continuous training, so that they could be able to achieve physically fit body and to achieve skills that they want to achieve. Using imagery during the off-season is a good opportunity to stay in a picture with imaging, although recent research has revealed that athletes use imagery significantly less during the less time and during the season. Yes. During breaks in the action. Most sporting events have extended breaks in the action during which an athlete can use imagery to prepare for what's ahead. In many sports, there is a certain amount of dead time after an athlete performs. This is an ideal opportunity to use imagery. Yes, because I am also an athlete, specifically a badminton players, and based on my experience, during the competition we really give our best, and then after the competition we are visualizing things, or we are doing strategic planning, what possible strategy we could visualize so that we could beat our opponent. And also during personal time, athletes can use imagery at home or in any other appropriate quiet place. It may be difficult to find a quiet spot before practicing, and there may be days when athletes does not practice at all. Yes, the book tells also that imagery could be successful in a quiet area where you could really visualize things without barriers, so that you could really achieve what you are going to, what you are expecting during the real situation, the real performance, so that you can be able to do your best. What you are visualizing, sometimes it really occur in the real situation. And that's the end of our report. I hope you learned something today. Thank you so much for listening and watching this video. Thank you so much. God bless us all.